Did you see that post?
People are talking.
Here's what's trending on the Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
Rickey Smiley Morning Show. And as the holidays are approaching, many people typically find an abundance of joy during this time. However, others seem to dread this time of year. Feelings of sadness during the holidays, also known as holiday blues or seasonal depression, are common occurrences in the months of November and December.
Now, due to a variety of different reasons, some they may feel a sense of loneliness, anxiety, stress, sadness, exhaustion, and painful reflections. Symptoms of holiday depression include irritable moods, changes in sleep patterns, feeling more tired than usual, difficulty concentrating, or loss of pleasure in doing things. If you or someone you know are familiar with these symptoms, it is encouraged to talk to a doctor or mental health professional to help you sort out your emotions.
And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Alderwan Tart, a faith-based psychologist who can give us more insight into the holiday depression and how to deal with it. Thank you, Dr. Tart, for speaking with us today.
You're welcome.
Always good to have you on. And how would you describe holiday blues and how common is it?
Well, it's very common. I mean, the average person has lost someone, especially over the last couple of years. And while holidays is a time to rejoice, it's also a time to think about who's not here. And so it's important to not block it out. I know that sounds different from what we think. A lot of people try to work through it or act like it's not there, but that's the worst thing that we can do. So the first thing we have to do is actually acknowledge our feelings that someone we love, someone we care about is not here, because one way of coping is dealing with our negative emotions versus acting like it's not real.
Wow. So when you start to feel anxious, are there things that you could do to ease the pressure when you just, starting to...
Yeah, Ricky, I mean, we have to predict. A lot of times, it's called impact bias, where we have a bias. We have a bias towards thinking that we're going to feel better than we really are, right? And then we get to that day, and a lot of times we're surprised. So here's what I want you to do. Create new traditions, right? Be around people. Create new traditions so that you're around people. But if you feel like that's not what you want to do, set boundaries for yourself about people calling, let them know in advance, hey, I want to have this day to myself, check on me the next day, but come up with a plan for that day. And then reach out for support, and then do something to honor the loved one, right? And so that means you sitting down and talk to family and say, how do we want to honor this particular person? How do we want to honor this particular event in our lives? Let's do it together as if they're there, and then let's transition into something else.
Hey, Dr. Tart, I've heard that sometimes we may not even be aware that we're suffering from depression. So what are some signs that we can be aware of to notice that we are?
I mean, and this is true, especially around men. We just kind of like work through it. So one, I just ask our listeners on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you today? Like, how happy are you in your life and with your life? That's the quick screen that we do. A lot of times we get 3s, 4s, 5s. And if you answer that question right now and it's below a 5, that's a good time to reach out for help. Another one is if you have you sleeping too much or not enough. One of the precursors to depression, believe it or not, is lack of sleep, because something's on our mind. We can't get rest. We can't get peace of mind. So sleep, lack of energy, irritability, agitation, just not having pleasure in the world, like things that normally bring you pleasure don't. Those are signs that our emotions are saying, go get help. Go talk to someone. It's like throwing up. Talk about these negative emotions versus denying them.
Yeah, I literally sat on a plane. I had a flight to Phoenix. And, man, that was a 3-hour flight. And I think the whole 3 hours, I just put my head in my lap and just flushed it out. Mm-hmm. And the flight attendant was real sensitive. Just he could sense as a black man. And I felt somebody put their hand on my neck. And he had a handful of Kleenex and just stuffed it in my face and gave it to me, pat me on the back. And because I had to perform, but I needed to get it out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because my therapist told me that I have complex trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder. I have both, been diagnosed with both. and trying to work through that, perform through that, and going up on stage with those feelings. I can turn it on. I can go on stage and just perform, but it's like when you get off stage, that reality set in, and it's almost like what happened to me in January has just now happened, because in my brain it's like a fossil. I held those feelings and those emotions, and I did not, because I had to protect, I had to lead, I had to organize, I had to plan. You understand? And man, this thing hit me about literally about 3 weeks ago. I felt like I'm going to need to go to a mental institution, Dr. Tart. What is it?
Well, I mean, because the only way to heal, Ricky, first of all, I don't know how you feel, right? And a lot of people say, I know how you feel. That's not helpful. A lot of times people say, tell me what you're feeling. That's the better response. Like, what are you going through? The only way for us to get distance through trauma is to talk about it. But we tend to try to, like you say, most men and women do it too, to stay busy, keep doing it, distract our minds. And while that works in the short term, it costs us when it comes to our blood pressure, our heart. So we have to talk about it. The more you talk about it, the more you're able to get emotional and psychological distance from the trauma. We have to work through the trauma, not away from it.
Dr. Tart, people may say they need some alone time, but is being alone actually beneficial, or can it increase the depression that they may be going through?
You know, it depends on the person. All right, there's some people that in solitude, their thoughts just begin to race more. They actually need people to distract them. So it's a person-by-person basis. So I think we need both. Of course, we need solitude. You know, Jesus would often walk away and be by himself, and then other times he was with other people. It says in the Bible, therefore confess your troubles one to another, because the prayers of the righteous availeth much. That's true in the science. When we talk to other people about how we feel, but here's the key. We have to make sure the people we're talking to are safe. Like, they're safe with our emotions. Our emotions are safe with them. Some people mean to help, but they say the wrong thing. So find a safe person to be able to talk to and talk with, and you'll find yourself actually feeling better, even though you're talking about negative emotions, because you're getting them out of your mind versus keeping them in.
Yeah, and how do you continue with typical holiday traditions, you know, without bringing on? I remember when my grandma died. That was I was on a whole nother level of man. Listen. Still to this day.
Yeah, I can't do it.
On the day before Thanksgiving, when I'm cooking, I keep walking by the front door thinking, like, right now. My grandma, they've been gone. They've been gone 19 and 20 years.
Yeah.
Man, I think they finna pull up. I keep going to the door. Thinking my grandparents coming. That's like my Thanksgiving connect to my grandmama.
Yeah.
And I mean, my soul, I can feel my soul leave my body of grief and heartbreak and sadness. And just want my grandma to, you know, especially going through what I'm going through now. I just really need my grandparents to be here, because they are the only people on this earth that can understand what I'm dealing with, how I'm feeling, and that I can talk to, and that just actually can make you feel better. Brett, you understand?
Ooh, I do understand. I'm in the exact same boat as you. I lost both of mine, and just, you know, no holiday is the same. You try to make it better, but it just don't be the same. And then you don't want to talk about it because you don't want to be sad. You don't want to talk about it to nobody because you don't want to make them sad or think you sad. And then you don't want them to feel sorry for you. And then you Debbie down and everybody's sad. So you just, to me, the best thing is to kind of keep it in, Dr. Tart, for real.
Yeah, Brett and Ricky, I hear you, but that's dishonoring how you really feel. It's fake, right? Yeah. It's like it's putting everyone
cry by myself,
before you.
I'd rather cry by myself than upset everybody else.
Don't worry about that. There are people out there. Like, imagine someone you care about calling you, and they say, "I need to talk to you for a minute." Right? You're not gonna feel bad. You're not gonna say shame them for feeling that way. You're gonna be glad that they have a safe space to just be human. We're human beings. We're not machines. We're not. I know that both of you all are performers, but you're not performers. You're human beings. That's just part of what you do. And especially when you're this hits entertainers, ministers, comedians harder, because you have to shut down how you feel and perform for everyone else, right? And your emotions are telling you it's a betrayal. And so actually those careers are more likely to actually suffer from grief because you can't say, hey, I need some time to myself. Today I don't feel like being funny. Today I don't feel like singing. Today I don't feel like ministering to you guys because I need someone to minister to me. That's the real what's going on. And so our emotions are going to tell us the truth, regardless of whether we put on a face and perform or not. And you can be a performer even if you're not an entertainer, whether you're a doctor or mama or whatever. So we have to grieve. And let me give people a resource. It's called griefshare.org. It's groups online. You can go in your city and you can just talk. Sometimes you can feel better talking to strangers who are actually going through what you are going through.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I ain't gonna even, golly, I want to cry. So, man, it's just great
to do that. Don't hold it.
Yeah, it's just great to have you on this morning because
don't hold that back because that's real. That's your emotions saying, I want to grieve. And when we block that, we suppress it, and then it starts going to our heart, our sleep, our stomach starts hurting because those emotions are saying, please let me grieve.
So true.
Yeah, and I hate that what I'm going through because this is my first Thanksgiving without my son. But, man, it's something about my damn grandparents that just be setting me all the way to the damn left. All the way, like I can't. The thought of my grandmother's just unreal, and I'm sure a lot of other people going through that. Dr. Tart, let everybody know how you can be reached and how they can follow you.
All right. Well, first of all, let me give them a resource. If you're talking about the loss of a child, that's specific. I want you to go to compassionatefriends.org, and then the Ad Council just released a mental health resource I want people to have. It's called loveyourmindtoday.org. Loveyourmindtoday.org. You can go through it, and it talks to you about your different emotions, and it also can link you up with different mental health providers. That's the information I want people to have. But if you want to follow me, you can just go to my website, drtart.com. That's drtartt.com. Or follow me on Instagram at drtart, drtartt.
All right, y'all, everybody that's going through it, we didn't try to bring the show down. We just want to give you information because we all going through it, and we want everybody to go and get the help that you need. You don't have to go through all of this stuff alone. Go out and talk to someone and get the help. God created people like Dr. Tart and Dr. Yanetta Spring and Spirit and all of the wonderful therapists that's out there. So listen, go and get help, y'all. Appreciate it, y'all. One time for Dr. Tart.